Hey guys, welcome to Troy Time. Hey, check it out. Today we have a very important video, okay? We are talking about emergency preparedness and we're going to talk about how to stay warm, okay? I'm going to show you some different materials to use and some different methods to use them, how to be the most efficient, to use the least amount of your resources to keep your family warm, okay? That's what's coming up next. Stay tuned. Be sure and share this video. Be sure and take some of the actions of this video so that everyone can be warm this winter and stay alive, okay? Coming up next, we're going to talk about it. Okay, so the first thing, guys, I want to cover is the mentality that we're working with here, okay? When you have limited resources, you want to use them and apply them the most efficient that you can, okay? So what that means for us is anytime that we're trying to heat or anytime that we're trying to cool, we're not trying to heat the entire room, we're trying to heat a person. We're not trying to cool the entire room, we're trying to cool a person. That's how we can most effectively manage our resources so they last us a long time, okay? So we're not trying to do something on a grand scale, we're trying to keep it as small as possible for the maximum result, okay? So that's what we're always looking for to save our resources, which usually is energy, which usually is electricity most of the time, okay? So that being said, let's look at what some of our options are, okay? Okay, guys. These are great options right here. So, like I say, we're not trying to heat your whole home. We're trying to keep you warm inside of your house, okay? So, a heated blanket or a heated throw, okay? These are awesome, right? These are perfect for when maybe the electricity is out, but you're running your gas generator and you're doing that. So, you can totally run these with a gas generator, no problem at all. They don't take that much electricity relative to other things in your home, right? And another great scenario would be if your furnace goes out for some reason or whatever, and you've got to go for a week or so with no heat in the house. And having something like this, these do consume quite a bit of electricity, but if you're running like a generator, you'll be fine, okay? So a heated blanket, a heated throw, great things to have. I recommend you pick one up. Okay, guys, so something like that we just showed is great for, let's say, more routine type emergencies, okay? As you know, one of the things we're focusing on right now on my channel is the 1 month mentality, okay? As I say, I recommend that you be self-sustaining for 1 month, right? I foresee in the future problems coming along, chaos coming along, and so you might not have access to grocery stores, gas stations, emergency services for maybe up to a month, right? So you want to be able to provide for yourself for 1 month in lots of different areas, okay? We already talked about it in another one of my emergency preparedness videos. Basically, it's water, food, fuel, self-protection, electricity, medical and hygiene, and sanity, like entertainment, games, and things like that, hobbies. So those are the 7 categories. So you want 1 month of self-sufficiency with those, okay? So although the heated blankets and throws are great, if you had to go for a month with no electricity, that would be tough. You probably don't have enough gas to run your generator that long, and those are good for the first couple of days while you have gas, but that's not a sustainable strategy going long term, okay? So let's talk about some other things that are. Okay, guys, so a great option that you can use to heat yourself overnight is solar power, okay? If you have a solar generator, okay, like this one here, this one's 257 watt hours, okay? If you have a solar generator, a smaller one, like this one here, this one's 138 watt hours. Even a USB battery, guys. You know, I've been talking a lot about these USB batteries. I'm telling everyone, get solar, get USB batteries at least, right? You're gonna see how valuable that can be coming up in just a moment, okay? So solar power, if you use it wisely, can keep you warm in your bed overnight, okay? So let's talk about how we do that. Okay, guys, so the answer to the question on how you stay warm in your bed at night using solar power is a heating pad, okay? I've got a ton of different heating pads here. Luckily for you, I've tested a ton of them. I know which ones are good and which ones suck, okay? So we're gonna go over that, right? But a heating pad is essential to have for that efficiency, okay? Even something like the large blanket that we just showed in the last part of the video, that thing pulls 180 watts. So that is a lot of power when you're talking about solar, okay? And there's no reason to heat your whole bed. You know, you don't have to heat. I have a king size bed. I'm not gonna heat my whole bed with that blanket using solar, okay? It's a huge waste. Why? Because my foot might slide over and touch one cold spot on the bed. I'm not gonna spend that kind of power to do that, right? Heating pad will heat up inside your little personal environment, right? So the trick is you get a nice blanket, right? And you take the heating pad in with you inside the blanket, right? And then that will heat up that entire space. You're doing a microclimate, essentially is what you're doing, but your microclimate is inside your blanket, okay? You want that heating pad on you. You want your body in connection with it. So the heat will go with the conduction, right? So you want that actual physical touch. You want it to be on your body, okay? And so that's going to make it super efficient, okay? I've done these, I've tested these, and I know this works, guys. It really does, okay? So instead of heating this entire bed, you're just going to heat the little microclimate inside your blanket, which is what you want. But man, it can get so nice and cozy, man. It can get so nice in there. You get to that cozy spot where you don't even want to move. It's like, oh, this is perfect. And even the smallest little heating pads can do that, okay? So let's start small, and then we'll work up a little bigger. Let's go over some of these heating pads, what they can do, and how to use them, okay? Okay, guys. So this is one of the first ones I got, okay? It's a small, tiny little heating pad. It's about the size of both my palms, maybe, or so, right? It's, you know, here's my hand up next to it. It's about one of my hands, maybe two if I put them crisscross, right? It's USB power, right? And it's got a wire zigzagging back and forth across it, okay? So this guy works. He really does. And the fact that he's USB powered is beautiful, okay? But here's the deal. Whenever you're doing heating pads like this, again, I just said it, you want it right up next to you. If you got your hand here, you're not going to feel any heat. It has to be touching, okay? So what I like to do when I sleep, I'll put it on me and I'll sleep like this with my hands on it, right? And then I can stick it, if you lay on your side, you can put it in your armpit, right? Either armpit. You can put it down between your legs, right? Get that femoral artery down there, right? So that all the warm blood is circulating around you, okay? This little thing is enough to do it. It really is. The secret is it takes a little bit of time, okay? It's not going to be super fast. It takes about 10 or maybe 15, 20 minutes to heat the bed up, okay? After it's heated up, then you can actually even turn this down lower, okay? So it's a USB driven pad. So we'll talk about this. So this is the AsperX USB battery that I've been talking about that was on sale for $10. Super fast charging, awesome thing, right? So let's say you wanted to power this throughout the night. So this is going to take, we can even look at it. We'll look at this first one. And maybe I'll have you trust me on the other ones. But we can even take this, and when we put this on, when it's on high, so this is the other great part. This has a 3-selector knob, high, medium, and low, okay? So it's USB powered, it's got 3 selections, high, medium, and low. I'll turn it on, you can see the red light is on, it's on high, okay? When it's on high, this is gonna pull 9 watts, okay? Can you see it here? I'll put it in the front. So when this pad is on high, we're pulling 9 watts. Okay, so what we can do is we'll run this for about, let's say 20 minutes and heat the whole bed up, right? So in running it 20 minutes, we will use 3 watts, okay? Perfect. And then what we'll do is we'll turn it down to low, okay? And what it's doing is powering on and off from a 9. So if it's got a 50% duty cycle, on, off, then it's only gonna take half of that 9, 4.5, let's just call it 4 for math, okay? So let's say and I've done this. You sit in your bed, you turn this on, you put this on your chest and, you know, put your arms over the top. You want to trap all that air, okay? So tuck in your blanket all around your shoulders, tuck it in around your sides and make just a tiny little microclimate, right? And with this in there, you will be toasty warm. In about 15 minutes, you will be toasty warm, you'll be perfect. You might even start to get a little warm, right? So then you turn this down. So we just used 3 watts to heat everything up. And then we turn it on 4 for 8 hours. That's 32. So for 8 hours, we're going to pull 4 watts. So that's 32 watts. So we have the initial 3 watts plus the 32 watts, which is 35 watts. And this guy holds 36. He actually holds 37.5, but 36 for math. So that's how you perfectly use this device with this device to stay warm in your bed all night. And you'll be toasty. You'll be really, really nice. This works out really well. Okay? Okay, so I know that one looked a little ragged. It looked like a part of that would go in sort of like a heated coat or something like that. The problem with that on clothing material, because you could sew that into stuff like that, is it doesn't stay touching you, okay? And all the air escapes. So again, to get the most out of it, you want to trap all that air. It will slowly build. It builds a couple degrees at a time. So every minute it goes up like 2 degrees or something like that. So at first you'll be like, oh, is this even going to get warm? And then 2 minutes and then another 2 minutes go by and you're like, okay, it's starting to get warm. Then another 2 minutes and you're just like, okay, this thing's working. You'll be a skeptic at first. You're like, oh, this isn't going to heat me up, that tiny little pad. Sit and wait in your bed, tucked in nice, for 10 or 20 minutes, and you'll be like, okay, Troy was right. This thing's toasty, right? So, and it's just a great feeling lying there all toasty and warm, right? So, But it does look a little shabby, right? So I looked around and I was like, well, let me see if I can find something a little nicer, right? So then I got this one, which is like more, it's not fraying on the end, right? You still have the zigzag. It's a little looser of a pattern, right? And you've got a little switch here, and this is going to light up and tell you what temperature you're on, low, medium, or high, right? Let's plug this guy in. Here's the deal with this guy. So let's turn him on, right? Nice little LED light up here. He's red, right? So this guy now, I think he pulls, I have to look and see. He's pulling 7 watts, okay? He's pulling 7 watts. But I'll tell you what, this guy just doesn't get warm, okay? He might look a little nicer. He's nice and square. He doesn't have, fringe coming off the side, but he just doesn't heat up, okay? He gets tepid, let's say. But when I put my hands on him, I don't feel that kind of warmth. On the other one, with the tighter zigzag pattern, all that heat is concentrated. When I put my hand, if I got a cold hand and I put my hand on it, it is instantly warm. And at the time, you'll be doing this with your hand on it because it gets real warm, right? So that's what I want from that. I want at least one spot where it's really hot, right? And this just never gets there, not even on high. And it's got a low and a medium, but if the high is not warm enough, then what's the point, right? So this guy's a fail. Okay, and then we got this guy, right? Real nice pad, real nice seams, all this, right? USB, right? Plugged in, he's working. The problem with him is he pulls 5 watts. He has no high, medium, or low. He's just always pulling 5 watts. And guess what? It just doesn't get warm, guys. It gets lukewarm at best. This one's probably the worst one out of the whole batch. Even though it's the best made, it just does not get warm. So this guy's out too. All right, guys, so then I got this guy, right? Real nice little imprinted thing, nice rubber pad, right? Real nice. This is I believe this one is the stadium seat warmer, okay? And I was like, okay, well, let me try that. Nice braided cord, right? Nice USB powered. And the problem is he just doesn't get warm, okay? I can lay there in the bed and he won't keep me warm. It won't happen. So he's probably pulling about 5. He actually pulls 11 and he still doesn't get warm, right? And it's a bizarre, it's using a lot of power. It just doesn't heat up the way it should. It would probably be okay as a stadium seat because you don't want to burn your butt when you're sitting down, right? But it's like it will warm. It gets warm, but it doesn't get hot, okay? I want something that's going to really generate some heat and keep me warm in that bed. Okay, guys. Yeah, so that's the beauty of this is that you can use it with USB, right? So we talked about using it with USB battery, and that's awesome, which means you can stay toasty in your bed for 36 watts, right? With one of these, right? But realize you're not excluded from using the solar generator as well, right? So think about this now. This guy's got 257 watts. If this guy's using 36, he can power 7 of these all night long, right? So if you really wanted to be, lap of luxury, you could have like, you could have 2 of them, like one at your upper body, one on your lower body. Your spouse or whoever's in bed next to you could have 2 of them, right? If you wanted to go that route and be just toasty warm like crazy, right? It can power 7 of these overnight, right? When it's full. Or maybe you just choose to use 2, right? However you want to do it, but the capability is there. That's what's so nice about having one of these. It can do a lot. These can do a lot too, but these, man, whew, can you imagine having, 2 of these on you at night? Or, 3 people all have 2 of these, however you want to work it out. I'm just trying to say there's a lot of power here. The real trick to using solar is using devices that use very little power that are extremely efficient. Okay, that's the mindset switch that has to happen in order to be able to live like a king with very little power. Yeah, so for the USB side, I know it looks a little ragged, right? But I highly recommend getting this one right here, the first one we talked about, okay? And that is called V-Best Life. That's the letter V, best, all one word, life. And it was, originally when I got it, I think it was like $8. I think this one is 11. I believe it's $11 now. Okay, but still totally worth it. This is a good thing to have on hand. Love that it's USB. Okay, and still gets really warm. Just the pattern, the grouping of the wire. The wire is what gets hot, and the grouping of the wire is very close together on this one, so it generates a lot of heat in a small area. Okay, it gets so hot. I don't recommend using it directly on your skin. Okay, these things can burn. They can burn you over a long period of time. So you always want to have like a t-shirt on if you've got it on your chest, or some pajama bottoms on, or long underwear if you've got it on your legs or something like that. Okay, so you do have to be careful with heating pads if you didn't already know that. But I highly recommend this one right here, the V-Best Life one. It works really, really decent. Okay, guys, so this next one really was the whole purpose of this whole video, okay? This next one is great. We're moving on now from the USB style to the actual plug-in outlet AC style, okay? This stupid little thing, I gotta tell you, this thing is amazing. This is my favorite, okay? This is a reptile aquarium heater, terrarium heater, I should say. And this thing works awesome, okay? It's actually rather high tech when you get into it. This is a carbon fiber pad, right? And it is the heating element, okay? So this whole surface heats up, both the bottom and the top. Both these surfaces heat up, okay? So that's a lot of surface area, and it gets really freaking hot, okay? I love the fact that it's got this carbon fiber, so it doesn't have that kind of point heat the way that the wire does in the other one. So it's just all this whole surface gets hot, and it's got a complete dial from basically 0 to infinity, or whatever you want to say. It goes at I can select whatever number I want, okay? Which is great, because if I know how much energy I have left, then I can set my dial to that, and I'll know that it'll extend through the whole evening, right? But so when he's a reptile heater. This is actually I got it. I think I got my first one for $6. I have several of these. I recommend getting one for every member of your family. I really do. I think that these are that good. This one says it's 7 watts. They do make other ones, but I will tell you from measuring it, when you actually plug it in, it's going to pull about 14 if you have it all the way turned up. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Okay, so hopefully that's in frame. It's 14, and this thing, here's the deal. It's going to heat up slow, just like the other pad. So it's not going to, and if you just put this on you like this, you'll feel heat, but it won't warm you, okay? Again, you want to be under the covers. You want to create the microclimate, and you want to just, if you sit like this, oh, you'll just be soaking up the warmth. You have it sandwiched, right, in between. You have it in between your chest and your hands, and you just sandwich it right there. It keeps you toasty, okay? This will actually make you sweat when it's on high. It will make you sweat. It's good. It's really good. But at 14, so again, what you want to do in order to use this wisely, the first 10 minutes, I'll run it at 14, and that'll pull about 3 watts. And then everyone after that, I turn it down halfway so that it's on 7. So I turn it down until it turns to 7 there, which I'll have to see. And then I'll run it like that. Right? And usually I'll run it like that for about an hour. If I'm still awake, I'll turn it down again to 4 because it's too hot, right? So yeah, oftentimes I'll turn that thing down to 4 because all I'm trying to do, once I've got all that heat built up inside the blanket, all I'm trying to do is just compensate for any heat loss. So I can turn it way down and only use 4 watts going forward. But so that's usually what I do is I'll run it at 14 for 10 minutes, at 7 for the rest of the hour, and then down to 4 for all the rest of the night. Okay, and it works out really well. But this is great too for just being like, you could use this with your feet, you could use this with your hands. This is just super, one of my favorites. The only downside is it is the plastic, it doesn't have the pad. But once you can get over that, then it's just a really good thing to have. So generally, what I've been quite fond of saying is that you can stay warm at night in your bed for 60 watts. And how I get that is I run it at 14 for 10 minutes, that's 3 watts. And then I run it at 7 for 8 hours. Okay, and 7 times 8 is 56. So 56 plus 3 is 59, right? So 60 watts keeps you warm in your bed at night, which is what you can get for sure on a sunny day from your 100-watt solar panel, right? So basically, I like to say, for every hour of sun, that's one person warm in their bed at night. If you've got that 100-watt panel I've been stressing to get. Okay, so yeah, so for every hour that panel's in the sun, if you're capturing all the power, one person can be warm in their bed all night long using one of these. Okay, so those things pair up real nice. People, this guy here, when he's full, when this solar generator is full, 3 people can be warm in their bed all night long with one of these. Okay, and using very little power. Okay, so I think that's awesome. So it's just a really, really good way to go. Guys, I can't tell you how much I like these, okay? I really think you should get one for yourself and for every member of your family, right? Running it with something like this, it works so nice. It keeps you so warm. Yeah, so I highly recommend you pick one of these up. I think I got my first one for $6 or $7. I think they're $9.50 now, something like that. But they are just a great way to go, okay? And give it some time. When you first hit it, don't wait 2 minutes and go, this isn't going to keep me warm. Tuck in the covers, lay there, and just soak up the heat. And Okay, guys, one of the last heating pads that we'll look at today is this one here. Okay, this is just a generic, it's a Sunbeam from Walmart, right? These, you see these all over the place, okay? This one here on low, he pulls 40 watts, okay? But what it does is it cycles, okay? And so it's a long cycle. I think it's 1 minute on and then 2 minutes off, okay? And so he does heat up and he does work. He has, like I say, the long cycle to him. When I use this, laying it across my chest, I found it to be a little stifling. It does actually, it will warm, right? And then for a moment, it's too warm. And then it cuts off. And then very quickly, the heat dissipates. And then for a couple moments, it's too cold. And then it'll switch and it kicks back on and a little bit stifling. So it was just kind of uncomfortable. And there's no way I could sleep like that. There was just too much quick variance when I had it on my chest. And then I moved it to underneath my back and it was much, much better. So since I was only exposed to half the surface area and then the other half of the bed was acting like a heat sink, it wouldn't heat up as fast and it wasn't over so much surface area of my body that I found it to be stifling when it heated. It did produce enough heat, and it didn't cool down as fast either because the bed had absorbed the heat like a heat sink again and would re-radiate it out. So I didn't like it on my chest, but I did like it when I put it behind my back, okay? So that was a good way to go with this one. It will pull, if you use it for 8 hours, it will pull about 100 watts, okay? It's gonna use about 13 watts an hour based on how it cycles off the 40 watt. So about 100 watts if you keep it on low. Medium, which I would never do, it'd be too hot. But medium would be, it pulls about 250 watts in 8 hours. I think it pulls about 30 watts an hour. And high, it pulls like 50 watts an hour, so that'd be like 400 watts. So would never use it for those. Although that might be useful as like a heating pad. If you were in some sort of situation where you were doing some emergency work, you were working harder than usual, and you had some aches and pains, using it for like an hour like that. Let's say you were cutting firewood, which you probably don't normally do, and you pulled your back or something like that, hurt your leg. Having this available as well, sort of dual purpose as an actual heating pad, I think would be a good thing as well. So I'll go ahead and recommend this one. It's not my favorite out of the three because I can get the same amount of heat for much lower wattage output off of the reptile heater, okay? So that's my favorite, the reptile heater, but I'll go ahead and recommend this Sunbeam one as well. Additionally, you might already have this on hand, so that's another good reason, all right? But yeah, so that's the Sunbeam heating pad. All right, so in summary, guys, these are the two that I'm recommending, okay? The V-Best Life one, that's USB, right? I like him a lot. He doesn't get quite as warm. He's good, but he doesn't get, this is my favorite. He doesn't get quite as warm as the terrarium heater. The terrarium heater really does a nice job. The only downside of this one is it is AC, so you'll need either a solar generator. This one can get it done with a USB battery. So you'll need a solar generator, and you'll have to power the inverter, right? But yeah, this is a great way to go, okay? So big fan of this one. And this one's up there too. So these are my two favorites. There's no real brand on these. You'll see it. It looks just like this. They're all over on Amazon. So yeah, I recommend picking up whichever one suits your needs best. If you don't have a solar generator and you only have a USB battery, then get this one. But if you have a solar generator, then I recommend probably getting the terrarium one. So I just think that this could be life-saving for a lot of people sitting in the cold. And you may say, well, I'll get under the blankets and then, but if you use your body heat to try and warm up under the blankets, it's hard to ever get all that back, You'll be chilly all night long. And even just running this here with the USB battery, man, you can get toasty. It takes a little minute. Now, it's not going to have that Sunbeam. The one nice thing about that Sunbeam is when it heats up quick, right? Because it's got a lot of power. But you're sacrificing all that energy to do that, right? Whereas these are much more efficient, okay? So the terrarium heater and the V-Best Life USB one, those are what I'm recommending, guys. And it could be a huge difference in your quality of life. If we're talking about the 1 month mentality, can you imagine going a month being cold in your bed every night instead of paying, $11 for one of these and keeping you toasty warm? you know, and you can get one, if you got a spouse, then get one for your spouse as well, you know. If you've got that 100-watt panel like I was talking about, you could fill, both you and your spouse, or probably one or two of your children, could fill up a USB battery, you know, no problem on any sunny day, right? And then you could all go to bed and be warm in your bed at night, or fill up your solar generator, right? And then just run extension cords where you need to go to get to their beds or what have you, right? So great way to go. Really warming the person and not the home is how to be efficient. And we're going to talk about that when we do the cooling stuff as well. So yeah. Okay, and lastly, guys, I'll already predict the question and answer it, because I'm sure people will ask, well, yeah, that's great when it's sunny, but then what are you going to do when the sun's not shining and you don't have any energy in your battery, okay? Well, I've covered it on my alternate fuel video, but this here, okay? This is the other thing I highly recommend, okay? This is a hot water bottle, right? It's made out of rubber, works great. I've tested all these things, so I know that they work well. I tested this one a lot, so I like this a lot too. So the main plan is use your solar and use your heating pad to keep you warm in your bed at night, okay? If you don't get enough energy, okay, boil a little water, or not boil, but 160 degrees. Throw it in this guy here. 130 is all I can recommend according to the manufacturer, but 160 works for me quite well. Throw it in here and you'll be good for 5 hours, okay? And this works really, really well. So this will actually warm in the whole space inside your bed. This actually radiates out of bed as well. But this is a great thing to have on hand. Whenever there's not enough sun to do the other ones, you use that, right? And think of how much fuel you save, because 90 or 95% of the time you're using the solar. You're using the heating pads. And then when it's really dark and really rainy all day long and you just don't get any energy, switch over, heat up some water, throw it in the hot water bottle, and you'll be good to go for 5 hours, okay? We'll talk about how to extend that time on another video and do a few other things. Mostly I wanted to talk about those heating pads on this one, so that's what we did. Those heating pads rock, guys. I like them both a lot. The terrarium one especially, but even the USB one's super helpful as well. Just be patient with them. Let them build inside that cover. So let it build and build, and you'll be toasty, okay? So hopefully you'll get a couple of these heating pads and pass this information on, and it's just going to help people. So I hope you do it. All right, guys, this is Troy time. I'm out.